What is up everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at XRP, which is performing incredibly well. If you've watched the past videos on XRP, then you'll know that we've entered a position right here in at $2.25. We essentially got a sniper entry here on XRP. If we zoom in, we were very barely in drawdown. We can even go into a lower time frame here. You can see our entry hit perfectly, and now we're actually up roughly, let me quickly check here, 18% unleveraged. So with 10x leverage, that's 180, 200%. With 20x leverage, that's nearly 400% profit, which is amazing. So congrats to everyone who was able to get in at this level here. If you didn't manage to get into that trade, then I'd highly recommend you check out the Discord, because we're sending out a bunch more trades in there, which you can see on the screen just how many we're winning. It's absolutely insane. Make sure you check that out. Now back to the video. So crypto is overall pumping today. Obviously in the morning we talked about Dogecoin and a bit about Bitcoin and how this was a manipulated move, which you can again just go back and watch that video. I go into a bit of detail on how these manipulated moves work. Now in the morning we didn't have the S&P open yet. Today it is open. It's up roughly 0.27%. You can see it's slowly starting to trend back up again. We do have a gap right here to close, so I expect it, this week to probably come up to around 5.9 thousand. So that's going to be roughly a 1% move up, which is quite easy I think for the S&P to do this week, especially with the Trump inauguration coming up on the 20th of January, which is a Monday, and it's a Monday that the S&P, or the stock market I should say, is closed. So all eyes are going to be on crypto, and XRP is going to be one of those coins, because as you can see here from the right hand side of the screen, all coins are up roughly 2 to 4%. XRP is an outlier. It's up nearly 6%. Obviously Sui is slightly down, but XRP is the outlier. It's up 6%, and it's one of the best performing altcoins currently. Even during the crash, XRP really didn't move that much down. Went from like $2.48 to $2.23, and now it's back up at nearly $2.70. So I really expect this to have some really good moves, at least for the latter course of the bull market. I think we'll easily be heading to an all-time high. The all-time high is, I believe, at like $3 and something, maybe like $3.13, 14 cents, something like that. I don't think it's high in the $3, but it was obviously a very, very long time ago. But now it's looking really, really strong. So that's good to see. Obviously we have the key thing to look at, which is Bitcoin dominance, which sort of dominates how altcoins move, which is ironic because its name is Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance is, obviously yesterday had quite a big bump up with Bitcoin seeing that manipulation, and now it's slowly starting to come back down. Luckily yesterday we didn't get a break of these highs, so essentially that is resulted in a lower high being created, which I hope will essentially remain as a lower high, and we can just start trending down very, very nicely, which will be very, very beneficial for altcoins. It will allow altcoin season to come into full effect, and when Bitcoin pumps, altcoins will be pumping like 2 to 3x, and Ethereum also needs to start pumping up a bit, which it slowly is doing so. But again, if you don't know how the market moves, usually Bitcoin is the first mover, then we have Ethereum, then we have altcoins. So whilst Bitcoin is currently obviously thrashing the market, Ethereum will still have a long way to go, and it always lags behind. Like when Bitcoin will start to consolidate, that's when Ethereum will most likely start to really pump up, and when Bitcoin is dumping, Ethereum is also going to be dumping, but more significantly. It's just the way the sort of inflow and outflow capital moves in crypto. It might be slightly weird right now, but again, once you're in the market for a year or two or three, you'll start to realize these things, and yeah, it becomes second nature. So that's what it does. Now, what are we going to be doing with the trade on XRP? Well, in the previous video we talked about setting our stops to profits, which we did. Those stop losses weren't hit, so we're going to be raising those stops again, and actually our first small initial price target was hit, which was here at roughly 10%. Now we have our second price target, which is roughly here at 21%, and then we're going to leave a small running position for the all-time highs, and the stop losses again just going to be constantly being raised up, so that if the market does crash, it will crash for us in profits, which is really, really good, because it means we're trading risk-free, and yeah, there's essentially no way that we're going to be able to lose this trade anymore. Obviously when the entry is hit, that's when the most risk is out there, but even then we manage our risk effectively. Like the trade already is a 1 to 4 risk to reward, and right now it's an infinite risk to reward, because there's no risk left in that trade whatsoever. So yeah, that's the best way I think to go about futures trading. And again, you always want to find a higher time frame narrative, which the narrative here is obviously bullish. We're in a bull market and we're on a major support level. Then what you want to do is go into a lower time frame and find your pinpoint entry. Here, for example, we had a good order block, which was right here. And this isn't going to drag, but essentially we're going off of this sort of order block. And if I drag this out here, you'll see that the essential trade was hit off of this order block, roughly 50% of the order block fill. Again, you can usually do, the tap of the order block 50% or 100%. It varies how you want to really risk it, but it doesn't matter usually, as long as you have, I think, at least the midpoint, that you'll 90% get the trade. And it's usually best to have like the midpoint and the end point. A tap of the order block I don't really suggest, because for example on Bitcoin we kept tapping this order block. If I go into the daily here, we kept tapping the order block, as you can see, until we actually fully filled it, and that's when the minimal amount of risk is essentially put into the trade. Because if we enter here, there's really not much leg room for Bitcoin to drop, and if it is dropping, then it usually means it's going to be reversing quite significantly, and we don't want to be in that position anyway. So that's usually the best way to go about it. Now, yeah, as for take profits, we're just going to let it run. This is our second take profit. Again, stops are already heavily in profits, so if it reverses back down, our stops are going to get hit and it's going to be a fully closed out trade. I think if it closes out our stops, then we'll have secured 10% unleveraged profit, an average of 10% unleveraged profit, which with leverage that's like 100%. So yeah, really good trade. And again, we're going to be sending out a lot more, especially during this week, into the Discord, because it's a very good week to trade in my opinion, especially with the inauguration coming up. I think there will be a lot of opportunities. As for other trades we're looking at, again, I mentioned this morning, Solana I think is a decent trade to be looking at, still not moved that much from the support level. Other coins like Fetch also not moved that much from the support level, still can possibly get into one of those trades on a lower time frame. Other coins like XRP, again, going to be a good trade just to keep an eye out for. Maybe you break above and you can find an entry on there, because again, it's not just about finding entries from reversals, it's also about finding continuational entries. If this trade continues to move up and we get something like this, you don't want to miss an entry right here because you weren't able to enter here, because the profits here are going to be quite similar to the profits here. So as long as you have a stop loss, there's really no reason why you shouldn't be looking for more trades. For spot trading, again, I think it's a similar reasoning. If we do break above, then it shows us that there's a strength to continue on further, and that you can find another trade, at least a spot trade at minimum, somewhere around here when we do break above. I wouldn't be looking just to enter when we tap this area, a long trade or a buy trade. I think that would be foolish. So instead, just wait until we break above, see how it's reacting to the support level or a previous resistance level, and then go from there. So yeah, to summarize, we have the S&P essentially waiting for it to trend back up, especially ahead of the inauguration. After the inauguration, I think it should maintain strength and it should continue going well. Again, Bitcoin, it's looking really strong ahead of the inauguration. I think it'll perform really well. It's going to be a very interesting day, especially over the weekend, to see if there's going to be more manipulation occurring, and obviously the altcoins, and in particular XRP. So if you did enjoy the video and you did find it helpful, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you need a place to buy, sell, or trade any sort of cryptocurrency for the lowest fees, then check out all the exchanges we're working with. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye, guys.